that makes Royal Ascot utterly unique, and that so many of the crowd here have got themselves into position to see the royal procession coming through the Golden Gates at the top of the straight mile here at Ascot. And the Windsor Greys leading the way, looking resplendent.
Such a fantastic scene, isn't it? It really is, on a wonderful, wonderful day. And I think the Queen looks as if she's wearing green, it looks to me. Oh, it is? Look, it's green. Now, whatever Gary says, the first word that came out of my mouth this morning was green. There are witnesses, there really are.
In the first carriage we have Her Majesty the Queen and His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh alongside them, and facing opposite his father is His Royal Highness the Duke of York, and with them in the carriage Prince Khaled Abdullah, the owner of Frankel.
I wonder what thoughts are going through his head right now, huh? He's got a runner in the first race too?
He will be very, very busy today. He has runners all through the week, but Cityscape is indeed his runner in the first. And in the second carriage we have the Prince of Wales, the Duchess of Cornwall, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie.
All eyes, I think, on Beatrice's hat after the one that she wore at the wedding, which caused quite a storm, didn't it?
And made a fortune on eBay.
It did, bless her. I think she turned what could have been, well, a questionable fashion statement into a wonderful charity event. She raised £81,000 for UNICEF with that hat. Today she is wearing something a little less grand, I think. Gone for a simpler look. Now, yes, Beatrice has just finished her finals at Goldsmiths University. She's been studying history and history of ideas. Isn't that weird?
I think it's fabulous. I'd love to study the history of ideas. Let's just have a look at carriage 3. And here we find the Duke of Abercorn, the Duchess of Abercorn, the Earl of Dalhousie and the Countess of Dalhousie.
Indeed, yes. The Duke of Abercorn, one of the largest landowners in all of Ireland, actually, the former Lord Steward of the household. And the Duchess, Alexandra, she's a very close friend of the Duke of Edinburgh. Distant relative of him, actually, and direct descendant of the Russian poet Alexander Pushkin. As for the Earl and Countess of Dalhousie, he is the current Lord Steward of the royal household.
And in carriage 4 we find the Lord Vestey, the Lady Vestey, the Lady Brabourne and Major Dan Rex, and Lord Vestey is facing backwards on the far side.
So he is, yes. I mean, he's a regular, isn't he, in the carriage procession. Former chairman now of Cheltenham Racecourse, gave it up after 21 years.
He did, and Robert Whaley-Cohen taking over, and he was riding Lord Vestey in Trooping the Colour on Saturday in his role as Master of the Horse.
Indeed, he's still Master of the Horse. And Lady Brabourne, Penny Romsey, she's known, carriage driving companion of the Duke of Edinburgh, a great friend, and been befriended a lot by the Queen recently as well, because her husband seems to have left the family home for the Bahamas. Major Dan Rex is the Queen's equerry.
And racing a huge passion for the Queen, and it will be very much at the centre of the celebrations next year.
Oh, indeed, yes. We've got to look forward now to the Diamond Jubilee. It's going to be extraordinary 4 days, I think, of celebrations. We've already had some announcements of 1,000 ships, I think, as a royal regatta down the Thames. Ascot next year is going to be super special. Shall we take a closer look at her clothes now? Her dress and coat are by Carl Ludwig. That's quite one of her favoured designers. It's an ivory silk satin printed with pinks and greens, with a green fine wool coat. And that hat is by Angela Kelly. Angela's a wonderful personality. She is the Queen's personal assistant. She's a Scouser, and she is really a friend and confidant, I think, now of the Queen. And if you meet her ever, she's just full of laughter and joy. And designed the coat and hat that the Queen wore at the royal wedding, in fact.
We were mentioning what a busy summer it has been with the usual society events, but added to that the state visit to Ireland, the first by a reigning British monarch for...
Oh, well, since George V, I think, yes. Going way, way back, so...
And also the visit here of President Obama. And then Prince Philip's 90th birthday celebrations.
It's been non-stop, of course. He was 90 on Friday. He gave a most interesting interview to the BBC, to Fiona Bruce, in which he showed his mettle, showed his character. And, I think he won himself a few fans, actually, with his challenging of every single question. And then there was the service of Thanksgiving for his 90 years on, just the day before yesterday. So the royal family have been out in force for, well, it seems like weeks, doesn't it?
And I was doing Trooping the Colour on Saturday, and I just happened to have been driving a lot around that area, around Buckingham Palace recently, as one does. I have noticed a much bigger crowds for things like changing the guard, and also in and out of the shop as well. There really does seem to be a renewed energy of interest in the royal family, and as is traditional, we will now have the national anthem. We saw extraordinary scenes here at Royal Ascot in 2008 when the Queen had a winner free agent, and it was a really exciting race to watch, and it was the Chesham Stakes, and you could see the shots that we had of the Royal Box showed the Queen getting so animated and excited.
She does, doesn't she? Indeed. I do think that there was a national sort of sigh when her horse failed at the Derby, I'm afraid.
Well, there was, and he came there with a challenging run. You know, I honestly believed he was going to win. I think everybody did. Looking at it now, the way Paul Moir, the winner, finished, you couldn't really argue that, you know, that Carlton House was unlucky. But I think of all the people watching, the Queen was the most sanguine and practical and sensible about it, just saying, well, he's run a great race. It didn't work out.
She just knows everything there is to know about racing, I believe, doesn't she? And she even knows all these horses in the procession, the Windsor Greys and the Cleveland Bays. She knows them all by name. And when she used to ride at Trooping the Colour side saddle, she used to go to the Royal Mews and to the riding school there, and she used to practice for some weeks, I think, beforehand, riding side saddle, which, I don't know, can you do that?
I've done it once. It's not very comfortable. It takes a great deal of balance, and you don't have much control, because obviously you've only got legs on one side of the horse, and you can't really use them.
But they are extraordinary for their age, 90 years old and 85 years old, and this very busy programme of events. And later this year, of course, they're off to Australia on an official tour. It's unbelievable.
I was staggered to see that, and that is a long trip.
I know she gets to lie down, well, they both get to lie down on the way, and that's very nice, but, you know, it's quite a lot to ask of a nonagenarian.
And it's lovely to see Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie here. I think they're starting to really enjoy coming racing and sporting events in general, and clearly it's a wonderful chance for them to spend time with their father, and also with their uncle Prince Charles, who's in the second carriage with them, and also the Duchess of Cornwall.
Yes, they're seeing a lot of uncle and aunt at the moment. We're seeing a lot of them as well. Eugenie's just finished now her second year at Newcastle University, where she's doing history and politics and a bit of English, so she's doing sort of a Technicolor degree.
When they redesigned this racecourse, I do think one of the huge successes was the amphitheatre that they've created here in the parade ring, and it allows so many more people to see the royal procession up close than ever did before.
Isn't it wonderful? I haven't been back since the refurbishment, actually, and I am mightily impressed, I must say. It's gorgeous.
And you can hear that warmth of reaction, that spontaneous applause, as the Queen's carriage comes around this rubberized surface. It's a very smooth surface around the outside, making sure the horses don't slip, and very much the most comfortable part, I think, for the carriages as well.
And she'll have taken a good look at the course as she comes up. I'm told that John Warren said, actually, that she listens to the sound of the hooves of the horses. She sees how the wheels are turning on the track, and she knows just what the going is like now.
Her guests will have enjoyed lunch at Windsor Castle, so the Queen will have had a chance to talk in depth to Prince Khaled Abdullah about Frankel, a horse that has excited so many people in racing, and the Queen will have really enjoyed that, of being able to quiz him about the horse and his physique and his style of racing, his temperament, the tactics they're going to use today. You know, she really does love the minutiae, the detail of the sport.
She certainly does, and she knows her stuff. I wonder if she's going to put a little wager on it.
I doubt that, Jenny. I doubt that. It's lovely thought.
Maybe that wouldn't be politics. And here they come. It's so wonderful to see it so close up. They're right behind us.
And the crowd cheering and waving out, and And, and actually, I can just hear people singing happy birthday to Prince Philip as well.
Ah, belatedly, yes. Well, he didn't want any fuss made, but a fuss has been made. There's been so much in the press and media about him.
As the carriages came past, it's got the most beautiful close-up view of Princess Eugenie's green hat. She's got a small dark green hat, and Princess Beatrice alongside her as well.
Yes, I think she's playing it safe. And the Duchess of Cornwall in pale clothes, as always.
Just see some of these shots of the procession as it turns from the course through the tunnel.
I think Angela's done a very nice job on that hat, don't you?
Pale green, for those that had a bet. Pale green.
You should have listened to me. The first word that came out of my mouth this morning was green. There are witnesses, there really are.
In the first carriage we have Her Majesty the Queen and His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh alongside them, and facing opposite his father is His Royal Highness the Duke of York, and with them in the carriage Prince Khaled. That makes Royal Ascot utterly unique, and that so many of the crowd here have got themselves into position to see the royal procession coming through the Golden Gates at the top of the Straight Mile here at Ascot. And the Windsor Greys leading the way, looking resplendent.
Such a fantastic scene, isn't it? It really is, on a wonderful, wonderful day. And I think the Queen looks as if she's wearing green, it looks to me. Oh, it is? Look, it's green. Now, whatever Gary said...
Abdullah, the owner of Frankel.
I wonder what thoughts are going through his head right now, huh? He's got a runner in the first race too?
He will be very, very busy today. He has runners all through the week, but Cityscape is indeed his runner in the first. And in the second carriage, we have the Prince of Wales, the Duchess of Cornwall, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie.
All eyes, I think, on Beatrice's hat after the one that she wore at the wedding, which caused quite a storm, didn't it?
And made a fortune on eBay.
It did, bless her. I think